Dr. Kirinith stood in the underground bunker, her purple scales catching the dim light from the dying power cells. Through the thick glass windows, she could see the machine monsters eating her city, piece by piece. The beautiful crystal towers that had stood for 1,000 years were breaking apart like glass in a storm. "How much power do we have left?" she asked her young assistant, who was checking the numbers on a broken screen. "Maybe 10 minutes, he said, his voice shaking. "The quantum transmitter needs all of it to send one last message." Kirineth nodded slowly. She had been the head scientist of their world for 30 years. She had seen their golden age, when 12 planets followed their lead, and their ships traveled between the stars like birds in the sky. Now she would see the end of everything. The Void Devourers had come from the empty space between galaxies. They were not alive, but they were not dead either. They were machines that ate worlds, taking everything useful and leaving only dust. No one knew who made them or why they existed. They just came, ate, and moved on to the next world. First, they had taken the outer planets, then the mining worlds, then the trade centers. One by one, all 12 planets of the Zephyrian Empire had fallen silent. Only Velthara remained, and now the machines were here too. We should record the message now," her assistant said. "The power is getting weaker." Kirineth walked to the transmitter, a large metal box covered in strange symbols. This machine could send messages across the galaxy in seconds, but it needed enormous amounts of power. They had been saving their last energy for this moment. She placed her hand on the control panel. "Begin recording everything. Our history, our science, our art, our music, everything we are." The machine hummed to life, its lights glowing brighter. As it prepared to send their final gift to the stars, Kirineth spoke into the recorder, her voice steady despite the fear in her heart. "To anyone who receives this message, we are the Zephyrians of Velthara. We have lived among the stars for 10,000 years. We have created beauty, discovered truth, and loved deeply. But now we are dying, and soon we will be gone forever." She paused, listening to the distant sounds of the city being destroyed above them. Somewhere up there, the last of her people were hiding in shelters, waiting for death to find them. "We are not asking for rescue. We know that is impossible. The enemy is too strong, and we are too far from help. But we ask for one thing, please. Remember us? Remember that we existed, that we tried to live good lives, that we loved our children and hoped for tomorrow." The transmitter was getting hot now, using up the last of their power. Kirineth knew they had maybe 5 minutes before everything went dark forever. "We are sending you everything we know, our scientific discoveries, our historical records, our greatest works of art. Maybe someone somewhere can use this knowledge to build something better than we could. Maybe our death can help someone else live." She looked at her assistant, who was crying now. He was barely 30 years old, too young to die. All of them were too young to die, if there's anyone out there who believes in justice, who fights for the innocent, who protects the weak. Please know that we tried. We fought the darkness as long as we could. We never gave up hope, even at the end. The lights began to flicker. The transmitter was almost ready to send their message across the galaxy. "This is our final transmission. We go now into the darkness. But we go with peace in our hearts. We lived, we loved, we mattered. Please remember us." The machine released all its power at once, sending the message racing through space faster than light itself. The signal carried terabytes of information, compressed into quantum packets that could travel between stars in moments. The message reached many worlds. Some ignored it, thinking it was just noise from space. Others heard it, but were too far. A way to help. A few civilizations recorded it for their libraries, adding it to their collection of dead languages and lost cultures, but on one small blue planet at the edge of the galaxy. Dr. Minho was working late at his radio telescope. He was looking for signs of life in the universe, hoping to find proof that Earth was not alone among the stars. When the alien signal hit his equipment, every screen in the room lit up at once. The message was unlike anything humans had ever received. It was complex, desperate, and heartbreakingly beautiful. Minho spent the next 6 hours decoding the transmission. As he worked, he began to understand what he was seeing. This was not just a message from another world. This was the final cry of a dying civilization, reaching across the vast emptiness of space to touch anyone who might listen. When he finally understood the full meaning of the message, Minho sat back in his chair and stared at the stars. Somewhere out there, an entire species was about to disappear forever. They had sent their last words into the void, hoping that someone would hear them, someone would remember them. Minho picked up his phone and began making calls. The world needed to know about this. Humanity needed to know that they were not alone, and that somewhere in the darkness, people were dying while calling for help. The Zephyrians had begged the stars to remember them, but it was Earth that heard their cry. Dr. Minho stood in front of the United Nations building in New York, holding a thick folder of papers. Inside were the decoded alien messages, translated into every major language on Earth. The folder contained proof that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that somewhere far away, people were dying. The emergency meeting had been called 3 days after Minho first received the transmission. World leaders, scientists, and military officers filled the Great Hall, all talking at once about what to do. Some were excited about the alien technology. Others were scared that helping the aliens might bring danger to Earth. "We should ignore this message," said General Harrison from the American military. "If we respond, we tell these void devourers where Earth is located. Could be putting our entire planet at risk." Dr. Juwan, a language expert who had helped decode the alien message, stood up from her seat. She was small and quiet, but when she spoke, everyone listened. "These people are dying right now," she said, her voice clear and strong. "They sent us their entire history, their science, their art. They gave us everything they had, and they asked for nothing except to be remembered. How can we just ignore that?" The French representative raised his hand. "But what can we do? They are 847 light-years away. Our fastest spaceships would take thousands of years to reach them. By the time we got there, they would be long dead." Dr. Hayon, an engineer who had been studying the alien data, walked to the front of the room. He had been working without sleep for 3 days, surviving on coffee and determination. "The aliens sent us more than just a message," he said, connecting his laptop to the big screen. "They sent us their scientific knowledge. Look at this." The screen filled with complex diagrams and equations. Most people in the room did not understand them, but the scientists leaned forward with interest. "This is quantum fold technology," Hayon explained. "That allows matter to travel across space instantly without going through the space in between. The aliens use it for communication, but I think we can make it work for transportation too." A woman in the back row raised her hand. "Are you saying we can build a teleporter?" "Yes," Han said. "But it would only work once. It would need more power than anything we have ever built before." Dr. Soyang, a physicist from Seoul National University, had been quiet until now. She had been studying quantum mechanics for 15 years, but had never seen anything like the alien technology. "I have been working on this problem for 3 days," she said, standing up slowly. "It is possible, but it would require every power plant on Earth working together. Nuclear, solar, wind, hydroelectric, everything. And even then, we could only send one group of people one time." The room became very quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. Anyone who went through the portal would never come home. "Is suicide," said the Russian representative. "We cannot ask people to die for aliens we have never met." "No one would be forced to go," Jiwon said. "It would be completely voluntary." "But who would volunteer for such a mission?" asked the British representative. "Who would leave Earth forever to save strangers?" Before anyone could answer, a man in a military uniform stood up in the back of the room. Captain Doyen had been listening to the debate for hours, thinking about the alien message they had received. "I will go," he said simply. Everyone turned to look at him. He was young, maybe 35 years old, with kind eyes and a serious expression. "Captain, you have a family," General Harrison said. "A wife and 2 children. You cannot just leave them." "My children will grow up in a world that knows we helped when someone called for help," Doyan replied. That is a better legacy than any father could ask for. The room erupted in discussion. Some people thought the captain was brave. Others thought he was crazy. But his words had started something that could not be stopped. Over the next few days, more people volunteered. Dr. Minho signed up first, saying he felt responsible because he had received the message. Dr. Guan volunteered next, wanting to communicate. With the aliens they were trying to save, Dr. Hain and Dr. Soyoung both volunteered, saying they needed to be there to make sure the technology worked properly. Soon, scientists from around the world were volunteering. Medical doctors wanted to help treat alien survivors. Engineers wanted to help build shelters. Even soldiers volunteered, knowing they might have to fight the void devourers. The politicians argued for weeks, but public opinion was clear. Polls showed that 70% of people on Earth supported the mission. Protest marches filled the streets of major cities, with people holding signs that said "Answer the call and save the Zephyrians." Finally, the UN voted. The decision was close, but the mission was approved. Earth would build the quantum portal. They would send 200 volunteers on a one-way trip to save people they had never met. Construction began immediately. Every country contributed resources. Power plants were connected by new cables. The portal was built in the desert. Far from any cities, Captain Doyen spent his last weeks on Earth with his family, trying to explain to his children why Daddy had to go away forever. On his final night, his 6-year-old daughter asked him why he was leaving. "'Cause someone is in trouble," he told her. "And when someone needs help, we help them." "Even if they are strangers?" she asked. "Especially if they are strangers," he replied. The next morning, 200 humans said goodbye to Earth forever, ready to cross the galaxy to answer a cry for help. The quantum portal looked like a giant metal ring standing in the desert, crackling with blue electricity. Captain Doyen stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the energy build up around the portal. Every power plant on Earth was working at maximum capacity, sending electricity through cables that stretched across continents. "Portal charging at 90%, reported Dr. Soyoung from the control room. "All ships are ready for transport." Doyen looked at his small fleet through the window. 20 ships, hastily built and equipped with the best technology Earth could provide. Each ship carried 10 people: scientists, doctors, engineers, and soldiers. It was not much of an army, but it was all they had. "Are we really going to do this?" asked Dr. Minho, standing beside the captain. "Are we really going to cross the galaxy to fight monsters we have never seen?" "We gave our word," Doyen replied. "Zephyrians asked for help, and we said yes." The portal reached full power with a sound like thunder. The metal ring began to glow white-hot, and the air around it started to bend and twist. Reality itself was being torn apart to create a doorway across the galaxy. "All ships prepare for transport," Doyen announced over the radio. "Remember, there is no going back. Once we go through, we are committed." The first ship entered the portal and disappeared. In a flash of light, then the second, then the third. One by one, the human fleet vanished from Earth's orbit, traveling 847 light-years in the blink of an eye. When Captain Doyen's ship emerged from the portal, the first thing he saw was destruction. The Zephyrian star system was filled with wreckage. Broken pieces of ships and space stations floated everywhere like metal snow. In the distance, he could see the alien homeworld, its surface covered in fires. The captain called Dr. Minho from the sensor station. "I am reading massive energy signatures. There are ships out there, lots of them." Doyen looked at the main screen and felt his heart sink. The void devourers filled space like a swarm of metal insects. There were thousands of them, each one the size of a city. They moved in perfect formation, methodically tearing apart everything in their path. "My God," he whispered. "There are so many of them." The devourer ships were unlike anything humans had ever seen. They were not built for beauty or comfort. They were pure function, designed only to consume and destroy. Long metal arms reached out from their hulls, grabbing pieces of debris and pulling them inside to be processed. "They have not noticed us yet," reported the tactical officer. "Our ships are too small compared to their fleet," Doyen said. "It gives us an advantage. They expect big battles with big ships." They do not expect small, fast attacks. Dr. Juan was working frantically at the communication station, trying to contact the Zephyrians on the planet below. The alien language was complex, but she had been studying it for weeks during the journey. "I am getting a signal," she announced. "It is weak, but it is definitely Zephyrian. They are broadcasting from underground bunkers." "Can you talk to them?" asked Doyun. "I think so. The translation software is working, but there is some interference." Giwan adjusted the controls and spoke into the microphone. "This is Dr. Giwan from Earth. We received your message. We are here to help." The response came back immediately, filled with static, but clearly emotional. "Earth. We have never heard of Earth. Who are you?" "We are humans," Juan replied. "We live on a planet far away. We heard your call for help." There was a long pause. Then a different voice came through the speakers, older and more formal. "This is Dr. Kirnith, Chief Scientist of Velthera. You say you came to help us? That is impossible. No one could travel here so quickly. We used your quantum technology." Jiwan explained. "We built a portal based on the scientific data you sent with your message." Another pause. "You built a quantum portal? In just a few weeks? It should have taken years, even with our data." "We had very good motivation," Guan said simply. Dr. Kirinith's voice became soft with wonder. "You really came. Someone actually heard our message and came to help." "But why? You do not know us. We are nothing to you." "You are not nothing," Jiwan replied. "You are people in trouble. That is enough. But there are so many devourers. How can 20 small ships fight thousands of large ones?" Captain Doyan took the microphone. "We are not here to fight them ship to ship. We are here to buy you time to escape." "Escape? Where could we go? They have destroyed everything." "We'll find a way," Doyan promised. "But first, we need to know how many of you are left." "About 10,000, Kirinith replied sadly, "out of billions." The human fleet spread out across the system, using hit-and-run tactics to confuse the devourers. The alien machines were used to fighting large, organized fleets. They did not know how to handle small ships that attacked from unexpected directions. Dr. Hyun had modified the human weapons using Zephyrian technology. The ships could now fire quantum bullets that passed through normal matter but exploded when they hit specific targets. It was not enough to destroy the devourers, but it was enough to get their attention. "They are starting to notice us," reported the tactical officer. "Some of the smaller devourer ships are breaking off to investigate." "Good," Doyen said. "Let them come. Every ship chasing us is one less ship attacking the planet." The battle had begun. 20 human ships against thousands of alien machines. The odds were impossible, but the humans had something the devourers did not understand. The absolute refusal to give up when people needed help. As the first devourer ship turned toward them, Captain Doyan smiled grimly. "This is it, everyone. Let us show them what humans can do." The space above Velthara had become a war zone. Captain Doyan's 20 ships darted between the massive void devourers like tiny birds fighting against metal giants. Every few seconds, bright flashes lit up the darkness as human weapons fired at the alien machines. "Ship 7 is hit," called out the communications officer. "They are losing power." Doyan gripped his command chair as another explosion rocked his ship. Through the viewport, he could see one of the human vessels spinning helplessly, its engines dead. A devourer ship moved toward it slowly, preparing to finish it off. "Ship 12, cover Ship 7, Doyan ordered. "Get them out of there." The human ships moved like a pack of wolves, working together to protect each other. When one ship was in trouble, the others would swarm around it, creating a shield of laser fire. The devourers had never faced this kind of fighting before. They were used to organized fleets that fought in neat formations, not these crazy humans who seemed to attack from everywhere at once. Dr. Minho was working at the sensor station, trying to keep track of the battle. "Captain, we are doing some damage, but not enough. For every devourer we disable, 10 more take its place." "That is not our job," Dodgen replied, dodging another blast from an enemy ship. "Our job is to keep them busy while the evacuation teams work." Down on the planet's surface, Dr. Juan was leading a team of humans through the ruins of the Zephyrian capital city. The crystal towers that had once been beautiful were now broken and burning. The air was thick with smoke and the sound of destruction. The bunker should be just ahead, she told her team, checking the map on her tablet. Stay close and watch for debris. They found the entrance to the underground shelter hidden beneath the wreckage of a collapsed building. The metal door was thick and heavily reinforced, designed to keep out the void devourers. Giwan knocked on the door in the pattern the Zephyrians had taught her over the radio. The door opened slowly, revealing a Zephyrian guard holding a weapon. When he saw the humans, his eyes went wide with surprise. "You were real," he whispered. "We thought you might be a dream." Juan smiled and held up her hands to show she was peaceful. "We are real. We're here to help." The guard led them deeper into the bunker, through tunnels carved from solid rock. The air was stale and hot. They could hear the sound of many voices echoing from the main chamber. When they reached the central room, Juan gasped. Thousands of Zephyrians filled the space, sitting on the floor or leaning against the walls. They were all different ages, from tiny children to elderly adults. Their purple scales were dull from stress and poor nutrition, but their eyes were bright with hope when they saw the humans. Dr. Kiraneth pushed through the crowd to meet them. She was older than Jiwan had expected, with silver streaks in her, scales and deep lines around her eyes. But she moved with dignity and strength. "So you are the humans," she said, her voice carrying through the translation device. "You are smaller than I imagined." "You may be small, but we are here," Giwan replied. "How do we get your people to safety?" Kiraneth's expression became sad. "There is no safety. The devourers will find us eventually, even if we could escape. This planet, they would follow us wherever we go." Dr. Hand stepped forward. He had been studying the Zephyrian technology during the journey, and he had an idea. "What if we made sure they could not follow anyone?" "What do you mean?" asked Kiraneth. "Your people know how to manipulate quantum energy on a massive scale. What if we used that knowledge to collapse your star? The explosion would destroy every devourer in the system." The room became very quiet. All the Zephyrians were staring at Hyen with a mixture of hope and horror. "That would work," Kiraneth said slowly. "But it would also destroy our world. Everything we have ever built, every place we have ever loved, would be gone forever." "But your people would live," Juwan said gently. "We can evacuate everyone to a safe place before the star collapses." "Where?" asked an elderly Zephyrian. "Where? Could we go?" Dr. Soyoung had been working on this problem during the battle. "There is a moon at the edge of your system. It has water and atmosphere. We could set up a temporary colony there." "Temporary?" Kiraneth asked. "Until we can find you a permanent home," Soyoung explained. "The galaxy is big. There are many worlds where you could start over." The Zephyrians talked among themselves in their own language, their voices rising and falling like music. Finally, Kiraneth turned back to the humans. "We will do it," she said. "We will destroy our world to save our people." The next few hours were the most frantic of Jiwan's life. The humans and Zephyrians worked together to prepare for the evacuation. The alien scientists explained how to overload the star's quantum core, while the human engineers figured out how to transport 10,000 people across the solar system. "Captain," Doyen's voice came over the radio from space. "The devourers are getting stronger. Cannot hold them off much longer." "We need more time," Juwan replied. "Evacuation is not complete." "How much more time?" "At least 4 hours." There was a long pause, and Doyen's voice came back, steady and calm. "We will give you 4 hours." But everyone knew the cost. Half the human fleet would have to stay behind to complete the star collapse. They would not survive the explosion. 10 ships would take the Zephyrians to safety. 10 ships would stay behind to ensure the plan worked. As the first group of evacuees boarded the human ships, Dr. Kiraneth took Jiwan's hand. "Why did you come?" she asked one more time.
"Why did
"You risk everything for us?" "Because someone had to answer when you called," Jiwan replied. "And we heard you." The star began to die at exactly 14:23, Galactic Standard Time. Dr. Soyoung watched from the bridge of her ship as the Zephyrian sun started to collapse in on itself. The quantum charges that she and the alien scientists had placed deep in the star's core were working perfectly. All evacuation ships, this is your final warning. She broadcast to the 10 ships carrying the Zephyrian survivors. Get to minimum. Safe distance. We are beginning final phase now. Captain Do-yoon's voice came over the radio from one of the ships staying behind. Evacuation fleet. This is Captain Do-yoon. It has been an honor serving with you. Take good care of our new friends. Dr. Gi-won, aboard one of the evacuation ships, pressed her hand against the viewport. She could see the 10 human ships that were staying behind, tiny dots of light against the dying star. Those ships contained 50 of the bravest people she had ever known. They are heroes, whispered Dr. Kirineth, standing beside her. They came from across the galaxy to save us, and now they are giving their lives to make sure we survive. The star's collapse accelerated. The quantum reaction was spreading through the entire star, turning it into a massive bomb. In a few minutes, the explosion would destroy everything within 1 billion kilometers. The Void Devourers, still busy harvesting the inner planets, had no idea what was about to happen. Quantum cascade at 90%, reported Dr. Soyoung calmly.
All systems
are working as planned. The evacuation ships were racing toward the distant moon where the Zephyrians would make their new home. Dr. Minho was piloting one of the ships. Pushing the engines to their maximum speed, they had to get far enough away before the explosion. Reach them? Will we make it? Asked a young Zephyrian child, looking up at Minho with wide, frightened eyes. Yes, Minho said with a smile. We will make it. Your people will be safe. Behind them, the star reached critical mass. The quantum cascade became unstoppable. Captain Do-yeon and his crew had just enough time to send one final message before the end. Earth, this is Captain Do-yeon. Mission accomplished. The Zephyrians are safe. Tell our families we died doing something that mattered. The star exploded with the force of 1 billion nuclear weapons. The explosion was so bright that it could be seen from other star systems. The quantum shockwave raced outward at the speed of light, carrying with it a special kind of energy that the Zephyrians had discovered. Centuries ago, the wave hit the Void Devourers first. The alien machines, which had seemed so unstoppable, were torn apart by the quantum energy. Their metal bodies dissolved like sugar in water. In less than a minute, the entire Devourer fleet was destroyed. But the quantum wave carried more than just destruction. It carried information. Zephyrians had built their quantum communication system to piggyback on such waves. And now, the story of the human rescue mission was being broadcast across the galaxy. Every species with quantum receivers heard the tale. They learned about the small blue planet called Earth, whose people had crossed impossible distances to save strangers. They heard about humans who had given their lives to protect people they had never met. On the refuge moon, Dr. Minho helped the Zephyrian survivors build their new colony. The moon was cold and rocky, nothing like their beautiful homeworld, but it was safe. The Zephyrians worked alongside the humans, sharing their advanced technology and knowledge. Your people are remarkable, Dr. Kirineth told Minho one day as they watched Zephyrian children playing with human toys. We have lived for thousands of years, but we have never met anyone like you. We are not special, Minho replied. We just did what anyone should do when someone needs help. That is exactly why you are special, Kirineth said with a smile. Years passed, the colony grew and prospered. The Zephyrians learned to live on their new world, while the humans learned about alien science and culture. It was a good life, but sometimes the humans looked up at the stars and wondered about Earth. Then, one day, Dr. Juan received a message that changed everything. She was now an old woman, her hair white and her face lined with age. She had spent 20 years on the refuge moon, helping to build the new Zephyrian society. But when the quantum communicator started beeping, she felt like a young scientist again. This is Earth's calling the Zephyrian colony, came the voice from across the galaxy. We have been looking for you for a very long time. Guan rushed to the communication station, her heart pounding. Earth, is that really you? Dr. Ji-won, is that you? Hey, this is Dr. Park from the Seoul Space Center. We have so much to tell you. Over the next few hours, Yuan learned about the incredible changes that had happened on Earth. The quantum wave from the star's explosion had carried the story of the human rescue mission to civilizations across the galaxy. Dozens of alien species had made contact with Earth, all of them curious about the humans who had saved the Zephyrians. "They want to meet us," Dr. Park explained. "They want to learn about human culture, human values, human courage. Some of them are offering to share their technology. Others want to form alliances. A few have even offered to help us build better spaceships so we can visit other worlds." Yuan looked out at the Zephyrian colony, where humans and aliens worked together in peace. "What about the Zephyrians? Have you told them about this?" "We wanted to talk to you first. You're the senior human representative in their sector." That evening, Gaiwan gathered all the humans and Zephyrians together in the colony's main hall. She told them about the message from Earth, about the alien civilizations that wanted to meet humanity, about the new age of cooperation that was beginning. "So what happens now?" asked a young Zephyrian who had been born on the moon. "Now we build bridges," Gaiwan said. "We help different species understand each other. We share knowledge and friendship across the stars." Dr. Kirineth, now very old, but still sharp, raised her hand. "And what about the humans who died to save us? Will they be remembered?" Guan smiled and looked up at the stars. "They will be remembered forever. Every time someone helps a stranger, every time someone risks their life for others, every time someone answers a call for help, they will be remembered." She paused and whispered the words that had started it all. "We heard you calling." And now, the whole galaxy knows that someone will always answer.